All right, everyone. Welcome back to Why Christianity. So, Why Christianity is a podcast where we ask the hard questions about the Christian faith. So, we explore scripture, we explore tradition, and our goal here is really to search honestly for the truth together. We're not experts, we're just curious, and we want to learn more by discussing with each other, by doing research. And today, the topic that we have, it's the first one that we do in this style, but we're going to talk about somebody called Father Bechara Abou Mrad. Basically, he's on the way to become a saint. I
Yeah.
guess let's put it like that. He's not exactly there yet, but there was a miracle in his name, or after somebody prayed to him, and he's basically in the process. And today we're just going to dive into his life, and I think it's pretty interesting to go and look into somebody's life who's going to become a saint or on that path, just so we can take that like as an example for ourselves to get inspired from them, lead a life like they led, and yeah, just see the whole process in life. Personally, I thought he was a more like recent person. I didn't think like he died or he lived that long ago. It just shows that how long the process takes. But yeah, no, when we delve into it, it was actually somebody who lived in the 1800s. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're curious. We're going to talk about him today, about his life, his life as a priest, his religious life, his spiritual life, and also the whole process of how does like one become a saint. What's the process to it? So we're going to kind of go over the steps with you about that. But what do you guys think? Why do you guys think it's important to kind of look into the life of saints and kind of talk about it?
That's a very good question. Well, it shows that the promise of Jesus, that he promised us life, and us witnessing such an amazing thing shows that life continues after this world. So it's like an amazing testimony of that. So
Yeah. How does yeah, curious. I don't know if it'll like open a whole parentheses, but why do you think it opens into like there's a whole life after this life?
I mean, we'll probably dive into the miracle, but when I read about it and the science behind, it was like, okay, that's like, okay, this person was definitely suffering, and she prayed toward the intercession of someone, and for God to, respond to that pain, and yeah, it's like pretty remarkable
Yeah.
what she experienced, like 180
Yeah.
shift.
And then, yeah, and that person that she prayed to wasn't alive at that time.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. How did you going to say something?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say why like it's important to talk about saints and their lives and everything. It's because I think when you see how they live their lives, that's when it makes us start to think that okay, actually they were such strong believers that I could take example of that, and maybe I could apply it in my life like directly in the sense that like we're gonna talk about his life, right? But one of the things I could mention was, for example, like he became a priest, obviously, and then he started to listen to confessions from 7 a.m. until midnight. I think he did it on a daily basis. Maybe we're going to cover that. But like just doing that, it's like he didn't do it because he felt obliged. It's because he really wanted everybody to be saved. And that's, like one of the, confession is one of the tools used to how did you say, what's confession? It's like one of the sacraments in Catholicism that is used in order to be saved. But I think just the example of someone's life that was very devout, the monastical life as well. You see how belief is so strong in some people, and how they carry themselves in their daily lives. You actually get inspired, and you become like, okay, there's a different way of living the Christian life that I didn't think about before.
Yes, and just to complete what Harut was saying is that's what's so interesting, and it's inspiring to read about their stories, about the saints, because some of them can even be struggling with the things that you struggle, and then you see how they dealt with it. What did they do with it? and that's what's great about them. And also it goes deeper. And we can do an episode on saints, specifically why do we ask for their prayers, but and why ask for their intercession when we can just go directly to God. There's so many points based on that, but we're all part of Christ's body, and we're all part of the same family. And so that's the way I'm starting to see it more and more, because the more I look at their lives and the more I ask for their prayers, I don't know, there's just this experience where you start feeling this connection to the church and to them. And there's something great about that. It's about family in the end. And yeah, there's a lot we can say, but we'll leave it for another time. But yeah. And today, specifically about Abuna Bechara, he's Father Bechara. It's special for us because we go to a Melkite, Greek Melkite Catholic church, and he's part of a Melkite. Like, he was born into a family of Melkite, and so he's part of the same rite, and it's inspiring for us to see, the same, a man who...
Melkite is like Eastern Catholicism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it shows, God doesn't really have a specific favorite branch of Christianity in terms of Catholic or Orthodox, because we see many saints or miracles through those branches, whether it's like Roman Catholic, Maronite like Saint Charbel, or now the Blessed Father Bechara.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was gonna ask. But it's like a whole other thing. But I was gonna ask: are there any Protestant saints? But then they don't have saints at all. But are any of their priests, or have they ever done like a miracle or anything?
It's very interesting. I think we could definitely dive into it. At least the Baptist friends that I know, they said, I don't really believe in saints. And it's like trying to go against the Catholicism. So like they don't have icons. They pray directly to the Father or the Son, which is funny because the Holy Spirit is sometimes undermined. But I feel, but I know like some branches of those, let's call them other Christianity, have what they call prophets. So instead of having them as saints in heaven, they're prophets on earth.
Okay.
Which is kind of also interesting as a label.
Didn't Jesus say there's no prophet that's going to come after me?
Which is funny.
Just throwing it out there. No?
Yeah. I'd be curious to speak.
Yeah, I'll be curious also.
Yeah.
It's more like there are miracles that happen in their churches for sure. And it's more people who have the gifts of the Holy Spirit, like gift of prophecy, gift of healing, that do these.
But that's tricky though. Like the gift of prophecy, how do you know? Like that it's coming from a good source.
I don't know. That's the thing. We need to dig deeper on this, but there are some stories in their churches too. And by the way, a saint is it's a Christian in heaven. So it's someone who's saved. That's a saint. So
all Christians everybody in heaven is a saint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's sanctified.
Yeah. It's just because the Catholic Church can infallibly recognize a saint in heaven. That's why we can say.
Yeah, exactly. And not all the people or the persons in heaven conduct miracles. Is really just the ones we ask intercession of.
There's evidence on earth.
Exactly.
Like if someone... anyways, we're going to talk about how specifically for Abuna Father Bechara, but there's like a whole process to it.
Before we talk about that whole process, let's talk a little bit about his early life. What did it look like?
So, okay.
Go for it, Steph.
So I'll start. Well, he was born in Lebanon on May 19, 1853 in Zahle. Zahle. Oh, okay. I have to say that.
We're Arab.
Not a real Arab.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. Zahle. Do you guys know?
I think it's the
In Lebanon.
western part of Lebanon.
Okay. He worked for a time in his father's grocery store, and he was known for many times to go to like leave and then go to a church and spend hours in prayer. And even at 7 years old, I think there was like an anti-Christian massacre in their area, and they had to leave, and then they came back to Zahle. So that's pretty much all I can find for his early
There isn't
life.
a lot on his like early life.
Yeah.
But I know that when he decided to go into the what do you call it?
Monastery.
The monastery, his parents were against it at first.
His dad was against it.
Both his parents were against it, so he tried to run away, and then his uncle brought him back, and like his uncle told them, and after that, like he kept insisting on it, and his mom ended up convincing his dad
Exactly.
to let him. To let
That's
him
so
join.
funny. Maybe we can read the passage of that's like when you're trying to lead a life through Christ. I read this passage on in Matthew 19. Like we could probably just
It's the one where you have to not leave your parents, but even your parents will step.
yeah
Is that the one?
yeah near the end of
Yeah.
Matthew 19. I think it's
Matthew.
121.
Okay, so it's Matthew. 19. Let's say 29. And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or children or fields for my name's sake will receive 100-fold and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last will be first. So here it's after about the rich young man. And after he says, talking about rich people, how it's more difficult for a camel to go to the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. So after that, he says that. Was that the one you were talking about?
Yes, 100%. But I think this passage is like so general. Like when people decide to choose Christ, even Jesus said it. Like, "I'll be a sword that will split families and stuff."
Yes.
And
Exactly.
like it shows like even your father, your like mother, your siblings. Was
Yeah.
But even they say like a prophet that came out of his homeland, he's not appreciated in his homeland. So
Oh, yeah.
people in his homeland are gonna kind of like say, hey, like you grew up with us, like who are you, to go out and do all these things and become all these, like, so it's true what you said. It also relates back to that.
So very interesting. You mentioned that about his story. So it shows like if you have a calling, you have to.
Yeah.
Follow it.
But it's
Follow it.
crazy how he was so young when he decided to go out.
That's what I was thinking.
And
It's like
against his family, like he was like he had this calling, and monastic life. It's not like something that
was-
usually younger people are attracted to as much. Like
he was 21
Yeah.
when he left.
he was 21.
21, yeah.
Okay, I thought
he
it
had
was-
this calling. I think since he was younger, he always felt it.
Yeah.
But he decided when he was a bit older. He was 21 when he left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But
Still.
yeah, it's still pretty young to kind of know your calling in life.
Yeah.
I'd say he's
Yeah.
a lucky duck to know like to be so convinced of what your mission is, what you. And by the way, guys, next week we're gonna have an episode of how do you know the will of God for
Oh
you.
yeah.
I think some of us are a bit more fortunate or lucky to know, but not everybody does. So and that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna talk about it next week. But yeah, so let's talk then about like his spiritual life, his life in the monastery. How was he there?
Maybe I could step in real quick and talk a little bit, make a link with a part of the Old Testament a little bit here. So, one part of his life, he mentioned that during World War One, there was a lot of famine in the area where he lived. We said it was Lebanon. So, and he in monastic life, like you don't have a lot, but usually you have food, and it was so bad that people would come and would request food from him. And so at some point, I think he was diagnosed he was almost going to die because he was giving his food out to people and he was not eating. So like he was diagnosed, I think, by like medicals that he was like severely
Undernourished.
malnourished. So I could relate maybe that part of his life where he was giving away, of his own life in order to please others. maybe we can relate that to a part in the Old Testament where the story of Elijah. I don't know if you guys like read that part, but in Elijah, what ended up happening was there was an entire kingdom where they were worshiping the god of the Baal, and because of that, God said no more rain or no more. There was like a famine for 3 years, but Elijah was living in that land. So what he did is he led him into a place where he would be fed water. Water would be given to him. So like on a daily basis, Elijah, which is a guy just like us, he was relying on God for providence of daily food. So maybe we could pull that into context a little bit with the way that he lived his life. Bechara lived his life, where, you know, like even though he was giving of his food, he was still reliant on God, and he was doing it out of faith. And at the same time, I think like if we look at Elijah, a lot of the things that happened in his life was very much in private. It's like it's miracles that happened in private. It wasn't the person, you know, like putting himself out there and being like, hey, I'm able to do all of these things. It was really him being in private and doing all of these things, all these miracles happening in private. So at the same time, it was silent obedience. It's like they're silently obeying God and trusting in him with their own lives of daily providence. So I think that's an interesting story and difference we could make here, where both of them were relying for daily food, daily drinks on God directly. And it shows what type of faith both of them had. And maybe I just saw this link in the story that I did a bit of research, and I think it was interesting.
That's what James was talking about. Because I don't know if you guys read James, the Epistle of James, but he mentioned Elijah's when he prayed during the famine, and then God sent him rain.
Yeah, I think
because I never read
James was
Elijah.
talking about works versus faith versus works, and how they work both hand in hand. And it's a good concept where you're relying on with your life on God's providence.
Okay, interesting. I think that's good. I want to start off by saying that Bechara was not his name.
No.
No, his name was Selim Jabur Abou Mrad. And when he took his vows in the monastery, they usually change their names and they get to choose. And so Bechara means in Arabic good news. And so what he wanted to spread the good news of the gospel. And that's basically the core of his mission. He was an active monk, which is different from the monks that are, silent, like Saint Charbel, but who are like more private. They don't leave their home. He was more about spreading the gospel, going on missionary work, helping the poor, hearing confessions. So it was an active life of serving people. And so, and what's interesting about the change of name is that it's a tradition that's also found in the Bible, where Abram, God changed his name to Abraham, and Simon, God changed his name to Peter. And so what this means is that there's a new spiritual mission. There's a new life, a new beginning has come. And so he's a new being now in the monastery, a being dedicated to God. And I thought it was cool.
Do all people who join the monastery do that? Because I know it was the case with Saint Charbel too. He also changed his name too.
Yeah.
Is it a thing with like all of them?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's really...
I heard many like I heard people choose their names every time. I don't know if there are exceptions.
Okay.
Like I don't know if sisters change their names.
Interesting.
Do they change their names when they take their vows?
Like Saint Rita, Saint.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it's the same thing, but I do know like monasteries, they normally do.
Yeah. I guess it's the same kind of, we don't change our name as our ordinary persons, but at baptism we have like a saint.
Yes.
So like
you have like another name at baptism.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
People
like
discovered that at their wedding.
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't even know, because you have to pull up all your baptism papers.
Yeah.
We don't though. I mean, I know I don't.
No, you should have one.
I don't.
For me,
I was
it's like
baptized Orthodox. Do they do that too?
It should be. You
I'm
should
not sure.
ask.
But it wasn't on my baptism papers, so I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you're added like the name of the saint.
Yeah, of
Who
Saint
chooses
Eli.
that name? Do you know?
That's what I was gonna ask. Is like, isn't it God that should change your name? Like, why would you decide to change your name once you
I guess it
joined?
depends
Is it
on
just
the calendar and where their ordination or
no,
vows
not
happen.
not at baptism? Is that
Not at
no.
baptism. I don't know.
I mean,
It's a
like
good
the
question.
let's say like Abu Bechara, or Father Bechara, he joined the monastery, like he decided to change his own name,
Mm.
because in the Old Testament, you know, it's God who changes.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
for
know.
sure, the change of name in this case is not like, oh, God told me to change my name to this, because we cannot like claim, okay, because God changed the name of Simon to Peter. It's the same nowadays. Like probably, like the reason why this biblical tradition is not. We shouldn't really anchor it as this is from God, but more. I want to follow the Bible.
Yeah.
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 But did you mean that when you get baptized, it's during the date of when you get baptized, where there's like a saint that got canonized in that time, that they change it to your name to that saint's name?
Probably we
Something like that.
We have to check, but
Yeah, we'll have to check. We'll do that in the episode where we
Yeah.
talk about like saints and but
Good
it's definitely
point.
interesting to
Yep.
look into.
Sounds good.
So what else about his life in the monastery as a priest?
Okay, so yeah, a bit about his qualities. So he was known for his zeal. Okay, he used to do a lot of missionary work. So walking a lot to like small villages, sometimes in mountains, and in any weather condition. He like raining, or he would sometimes cross rivers, and even one time there were strong currents and the people had to help him like get a ladder, and so that he passes, and they even questioned him like, what do you do? And he said this, he said, what rain, what cold, could I leave you without mass? So for him the Eucharist was not optional.
Wow.
And it was life. And so nobody could stop him from like doing it for his people and partaking in the sacrifice. So yeah, he was very zealous, very passionate, and his heart was like on fire to help everyone. And also he was known to care for the people. Harut, you mentioned it, that he would listen to confession for a long time. And he would be so patient, so gentle, and people loved him to the point where many people from like all over other cities, I don't know if other countries, but from a long distance would travel to come and see him and confess to him. So that's interesting. That's very telling. The kind of person that he is.
Of his honesty in faith, I think it is telling, honestly.
Exactly. So for that, and even to the point where he would serve so much his people, to the point where he didn't have time to pray like for himself, he didn't have time for himself. So one of the things that he did was to sleep in the church, and as like his reason for sleeping in the church, he would say like, I'm just lighting up, keeping the candles lit for the Holy Eucharist, because when there's a consecrated Eucharist, you have to keep the candles lit. So that's the tradition of the church. So he just went, he stayed beside the Eucharist, he prayed there, and he slept in the church. So so many things. You guys have anything before?
I think like Harut mentioned it a bit, like he didn't have anything for himself. Like in his room, it was just his bed and a crate that like, he would use as a wardrobe. So he really lived like his life in true obedience as Christ lived, with like no possessions, and any gifts he would receive, he would regift them. He wouldn't keep anything for himself.
But maybe one point I could ask, like in the case of someone, like for example, even Saint Charbel was a person like that lived a very simple life, had a small room, had a small bed, spent most of his time alone. I would ask this question, like a lot of people say that faith and belief is usually magnified when you're surrounded by people with the same faiths and belief, and you can see the effects of that faith and belief lived out. So you see it in someone else, it affects you as well. So like living alone, for example, Saint Charbel would live alone, and like she mentioned, also he had a very simple life. How is it? It's better to be accompanied by those people around you that actually have a good belief and do good works, or is it better to maybe retreat and live with him? Because there's a lot of saints also that retreat and live a life alone with God, dedicated to God. That's also things that some people with strong beliefs do. So maybe the question would be like, is it better to live a life of faith alone with God, or to always be surrounded with people the way that Abuna, Father Bechara, was always surrounded with people?
But I think even like Saint Charbel would serve, wouldn't he? Like, wouldn't he?
He would serve.
They would do both. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know much, but I would say like if you have that much faith, that much belief, then what's the point of just being alone? Like, yes, it's nice to be alone to like build that relationship with God, but like the goal is to get other people too, right? It's to share it with people and save as many people as possible.
I would say it depends. It depends. I don't know. I don't know much on the subject, but it depends where your calling is. And there's something about being alone also. It's not that just because you're alone, you can't affect the world. There's you can pray, like there's intense prayer, there's intense sacrifice. Like being alone is not easy, and you know there's sacrifice. There's a lot of things they could do, but I'd say it's different.
And also like
I don't know.
having the space to like hear God. You know, when you're alone, when there's people around you, there's always distractions. But when you're alone, one-on-one with God for a long time, and you ponder on God, that's when you hear him more, you feel him more.
Makes sense. I mean, I think it's just like this dance between being alone and meditating and praying to God, but also being with others. And showing, how to be Christ-like.
Exactly, servitude and
Exactly. Even Christ himself needed time alone, right? After he spent time with people, he always retreated. Spent time with God, like refilled his cup, and then
that's a good point. Like to always go to how Christ lived his life is actually like, okay, that's the right way. You know, like there's no maybe one thing, like it's literally going back to Christ. What he did is what.
But I like Steph's point because it's true. Like even being alone, praying for people, maybe that's what you're meant to do. Like. Even that is powerful in itself. So who knows? Because you're praying for people.
God doesn't need you, right? Like you're praying for God for others. So like that's also
also valuable in service. Exactly. So who knows? I guess it depends.
100%.
It depends.
So what about the end of his life? Do you guys have anything to say about how his, let's say, last days were?
So just to mention, because Harut mentioned it, he was just very ill before he died. He couldn't leave his bed, but he would still try to listen to confessions even then on his bed. But his brothers, so the monks, would come and they would help him pray to remain beside him. So that's it.
Awesome.
And he did pass away peacefully on February 22nd, 1930. He was 76 years old.
And when he died, people would come to his tomb and they would pray. Start praying.
Wow. Okay.
So after his death, after a long time, there was a miracle. So Charles, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, before we jump into it, maybe we can explain the grades and explain where Father Bechara is currently in. So there's 4 grades, if I remember. So there's the opening of the case, right?
Yeah. So that's when, I think even before, the opening of the case. So that's when it's you're servant of God.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot the second one.
So the second one is venerable.
Venerable. And
so this is when, so as a servant of God, this is like the starting point. They open an investigation into kind of your life, the writings, how you lived your life, if you've lived it virtuously. And then venerable is when like you're recognized as living a virtuous, heroic life of servitude. It's like a formal recognition that's like beyond doubt that you lived, that you lived this kind of virtuous life, but you're not required to have a miracle. So
Yes.
he had reached that point in 2010. So Father Bechara reached that in 2010. And then it's the beatification. So when you're blessed.
Blessed, yeah.
So the church officially declares the person is in heaven and worthy of veneration. So this normally requires one verified miracle
Yeah.
in your name or attributed to their intercession after their death. And it's curious because the miracle, like, it takes time as well to investigate, because like they really go through all the medical history. They really look into it before declaring it officially a miracle. So officially in 2026, recently, Father Bechara reached this point of beatification. So his miracle was recognized, approved. Which brings to the last step, which is becoming a saint, so canonization.
Yes.
And this is where it's like the final step where the Pope finally declares you a saint. And for that, you need more than one miracle. So you need at least a second miracle after you become blessed, so after the beatification.
Yeah.
So that's really the whole process. So first, you are a servant of God. Then venerable, when you're like acknowledged to have lived a virtuous life. Then there's the beatification. So you're blessed if there's one miracle registered to your name, which this is where Father Bechara is right now, as of 2026. And then it opens the door for the process of canonization to become a saint.
Which is also like just a little mention. Apparently, martyrs don't have that step. So if there's one miracle attributed to their name, they're officially
A saint? Right
saints.
away?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So which is interesting. I think it shows a bit like the biblical also stance of that. Like when the first martyr, Stephen,
yeah.
that was stoned to death, and then Jesus was standing up. So like it shows like okay, martyr have a maybe higher welcoming in a sense, because Jesus wasn't sitting on the throne, he was standing up and welcoming them. So yeah.
There's more surety that they're in heaven, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, coming back to the miracle, I was actually surprised. So it takes time to for sure make sure this is really true, and science cannot explain what happened. So first, when I went to mass that day on February, and the priest officially announced that Father Bechara is now the Great of Blessed. I got curious. I was like, there's interesting that we have stages of what Natalie mentioned. And recently they announced what was the miracle that happened in 2009. So I was like, oh, wow, okay, it took that long.
Years.
So I was like, I was expecting a miracle to be like in 2020, 24, something like
See,
this.
that's why. Me too. When like they talked about him in church, I was like, oh, it's like somebody who died recently, who just had like a miracle. Yay.
Yeah.
No, somebody who lived in like the 1800s. The miracle was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're just now talking about it. So it just shows that like there's a whole process that, to go through.
Absolutely. And we don't know too much of the details. I think it's the stance of the church to protect the identity of the person. Probably, obviously, when this person pass away, reach heavens, maybe we'll know more about the medical condition and what exactly happened. But what we know is that this person, her name is Therese, and in 2009, she prayed in the intercession of Abuna or Father Bechara, and the next day she completely healed from her illness.
Yeah.
So what was her illness?
So she had, I think, arthritis in her legs.
Yeah.
She couldn't walk, or it was very, very painful for her to walk.
She was in a wheelchair.
And she was in a wheelchair, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually watched an interview with her. So I don't know about like if they keep her hidden or whatever. I don't know. But I watched an interview with her, and she mentioned that like, oh, she was at church one day and they gave her like a little book about Father Bechara, just like that. She put it in the seat of the piano. And then her daughter at some point asked her, "Oh, can you give me a book from there, just a random book?" She opens it, she sees the book of of Father Bechara, and then like she prays to him. She was really in pain. She prays to him, and then that night, she was healed of of everything.
But it's crazy. Like she was
through.
healed forever. Like it's not like she was like it came back or she was partially healed. It's like from one day to another, no medication, nothing. Like she just woke up and that's it. She could walk and she's completely.
Yeah.
And apparently, so it's a grade 4 osteoarthritis. So it's like the most severe grade of arthritis. So basically, what happens is that your joint between the bones, there are no more ligaments. So like the bones are really creating friction between each other.
Yeah.
So that's super painful. And this is why she was on a wheelchair, because each movement is like really like
Painful.
really, really painful. So like how can medically this, be resolved is
We can't like
We
even
can't.
doctors were astonished when she went back
Exactly.
to them. She's like, "This was you? Like, there's no way."
So probably, so we cannot claim full regeneration until like the reports are up, but the miracle, basically how it's labeled is like really a complete recovery from the illness in a radical way. So this is how we define a miracle, and probably from the medical report we can imagine that something happened in the anatomy of Therese that helped her with relieving that pain completely.
Interesting. But that's always fascinating.
Yeah.
Miracles when there's like no other explanation. What's even more fascinating is when people listen to these stories and they just like ignore or like find other, oh, it's just by chance, or I don't know, maybe the medication worked.
Yeah,
or
like the
finding-
deeper you dig, the more you find that actually the people that were doctors are all like there was people, they weren't even religious. There were doctors that are in the Vatican
in the medical field.
that were actually investigating, and it's a strict process. They don't just accept it. Oh, look, okay, she's healed. It's a miracle. No. It's a strict process. And also another point is like, it's not like that illness, it took time for it to heal. It was the day of, she prayed, and then the next day she got up, she could walk. It's literally like in the Bible, right?
Yeah. Recovery doesn't work like that. Like it takes time.
Exactly.
It takes, but this one was just quick and she was able to get up and walk the next day. So it's pretty fascinating.
I guess also this is one of the reason why it took 17 years. So I guess the Vatican wanted to make sure like after a few days or after a few years, she would fall back to that illness. And also, as Harut mentioned, usually how the Vatican proceed with those events, if they feel, okay, this could have an international, spread.
International like effect
Effect,
or benefit.
They would open a case and then ask, usually it would keep it like in a private way, like they will take people who don't necessarily believe in God or stuff like this to do the analysis. So it's like not biased toward, okay, God exists and this is a proof of that. So they would take atheist or agnostic that don't really believe in miracles to like really show that, okay, those people, they reach the limit and say, okay, this is something that we cannot explain medically. So
That's pretty. We should dive into like the whole process of how they declare something a miracle, or Like, what's the investigation that goes behind it? I think it would be pretty interesting to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else to add on his life, the miracle where we're at right now? So yeah, next step for him, guys, is to be canonized, see if there's a second miracle, a third, and yeah, we'll see. It's nice to kind of live it in live, I guess, or as it's happening, to see how it all goes or how it all happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we kind of want to thank you again for listening to yet another episode, and tune in next week, guys. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic that I think we all ask ourselves, like, what are we here for? What's God? What's your will for us? And we're going to see how to kind of unpack that and how we can live in God's will without necessarily knowing what his will is for us. But we're definitely going to unpack that. But thank you, guys. And let us know in the comments, who's like a saint that you really always like consistently pray to? Who's like your go-to saint? Let us know.
And I'll be curious to know also, like, we different spoke about different type of miracles. If you have a personal story to share, a vision of Jesus or a saint or Mary, also let us know in the comments.
We'd love to read it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.